Okay, one of the filters is that. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's more like it.
All right. Well, we got 1 more minute to kick off.
But we're live on YouTube.
Nice. Good morning, YouTube.
Good morning to our YouTube crowd. Welcome.
Downtown Albuquerque.
Nice.
I'll go ahead and turn on our recording. Everything you say now will be recorded.
I love the at Java Joe's. I love they have a, what is it? It's a bagel with cream cheese and bacon and tomato.
Yum.
Good stuff.
I had some breakfast enchiladas. They were
nice.
They were superb.
All right, everyone. Well, it is 9 a.m. So we're going to get started here. First of all, welcome everyone. Look forward to seeing all your faces today. But as most of you know, 1 Million Cups is a national organization, and our mission is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. And we love to do that by creating a consistent program. So generally, well, first of all, we never let just anyone present. We don't want someone to just sit here and try to sell you on their product, right? They're all here to share their journey as an entrepreneur. And that way you get an idea of what it's like to be an entrepreneur and maybe things you should or shouldn't do. And then the entrepreneur also shares their challenges. And so you as an audience get a chance to help them with their challenges, as well as maybe help them think about their business in a different way. And right, we are not the only 1 Million Cups in the Southwest. We are the only one right now in New Mexico. But if you can see, there's a bunch in Texas and a few other states there in our Southwest region. And we create authentic connections. And what I mean by authentic connections is, well, and the whole purpose of 1 Million Cups is that you can sit down and connect with someone better over a cup of coffee than you can just handing them your business card. So that's what we mean about connections. And it's presentations, not pitches, and it's run for the community, by the community. And we want to continue to be radically and intentionally inclusive. And that means wherever everyone's, that was a terrible, I was trying to say, no matter what kind of company you run, no matter what kind of organization you have or where you're from, we want to see you present on 1 Million Cups as long as you have a for-profit business. And let me get to this. Yeah, and if you apply to present, we do want you to have a for-profit business. We want you to at least have one paying customer. And as Paul likes to say, it shouldn't be your mother paying for your business, right? It should be someone else that maybe you don't know, but you have at least one paying client. We'd love you to apply. And this is our wonderful organizing team. We have Paul Zotter, Lisa Adkins, who's my co-lead. We have Eric Rins-Whitmore, Bob C. Sinandale, myself, Sonia Doing, and Charles Garrison. So thank you guys. Thank you to my team, because we keep this thing running. We have not stopped even since the pandemic. We went immediately to online and we've kept it going. And so thank you guys. You're awesome. And our wonderful sponsors. So right now, Lisa and I are both in Fat Pipe. Great internet here, by the way. If you're looking for a space to get away from the house and get a different scene, great fat pipe. Well, it is a great fat pipe to the internet. And our other sponsors are Loza and Loza Intellectual Property. And so I love them because they helped me get a trademark on my company, Plot Duckies. We also have More Than Organized with Miriam Orpiz. Oh, no, I got it. Miriam, are you here? Okay, I don't see her. All right, Miriam huh?
It's Ortiz y Pino.
Ortiz y Pino. Thank you so much. We'll get it right next time. Thank you. Then we have Jason Collin Photography, our official photographer. And I know Jason's here. I saw him. And then we have Noventum Custom Software, where Brian normally brings the donuts or his own baked goods, which are pretty impressive. And someday soon, hopefully we'll get back to normal and we'll all be able to meet. So that is all I have to share. And I think, Eric, you are up next.
Oh, am I? I'm just throwing stuff in the chat. I'm wondering, I don't know, I was wondering, first of all, is there anybody new here? And I'm also curious, I saw a tropical beach someplace. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I think I do see a tropical beach. I'm wondering who's the furthest away this morning. So I'm wondering about those two things. If you are a newcomer, please either mention that in the chat or raise your hand. Otherwise, I will maybe select somebody we haven't seen for a little bit. Let's see. The number of hands is just astounding. Let's see. I recognize the name, but I'm not sure that I've seen David Abel here, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name, last name correctly. David, can you share, where you're joining us from this morning? Perhaps
David Abel
not.
went to get
Sometimes
some
that
coffee.
happens. Sometimes it happens. And I also wanted to say hi to Dominic Pruitt, who's joined us a couple times, but I think it's been a little while. I'm just talking to people who are on the phone.
Yeah. Hey,
they're all
Erica.
driving. Go ahead, Dominic.
Okay, you can hear me, and I've managed to get my stuff on. How you doing?
Doing well. What we do is we sometimes encourage folks who we haven't seen in a little while or joining us for the first time. Just name and what brings you here today, and maybe you're a little bit on your business. Just a sentence or two.
What brings me here today is I have the time available. I'm usually instructing or moving a deal along, and I know Lisa and I know a couple others that are here also. For those that don't know me, my name is Dominic Pruitt. I live in North Rio Rancho, so Enchanted Hills area. I work for IBM as a technical seller, and my specific subject matter expertise is in storage software. So, backing up stuff, replicating it, getting it to other sites, high-end storage area networks. And then as of late, I've been working a lot with OpenShift, which is Red Hat's Kubernetes solution since IBM acquired Red Hat. So I've been eyeball deep in that and understanding it and how the storage implications are around that. So I think a lot of people love the ability to turn up VMs and containers, but handling persistent data can be a challenge. So, and making copies of it.
Well, glad you had the time to join us this morning.
Yeah, sure.
Appreciate you being here. I wanted to also, I don't think I've seen Chris in the room since, I don't know, at least very much in the new year. So I'll put it that way. Can you, Chris from West, if you can just maybe share a sentence or two about yourself and yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Business consultant and trainer for West out of the Albuquerque region. We have finally, as a West team, kind of got our act together since COVID to try and figure out how to attend all of the online ecosystem sessions. So happy to be here and happy we figured out our process to do that. So thank you for continuing on and pivoting and being online. We appreciate that.
Well, glad to be here. Glad to see you, and thankful for everything the West does in our community. I believe I have the task of introducing today's speaker, and I want to say, Albuquerque is often, as we, many folks recognize, it's often a small town. So if you're lucky, you meet some of the best people. Maybe it didn't stick the first time, or sometimes you meet them like in things being cyclical and all that. Sometimes you meet them a few times in life. So I've had the pleasure of meeting Carlos, back further than either of us probably wants to mention, but also seeing kind of, his evolution and just seeing some of the different facets of the things that he's done. So, both as a poet and as an artist and community builder, but also what director of, I forget the title, sort of innovation marketing, I want to say, for City of Albuquerque, just fantastic. And a number of other roles. So really excited to hear about his new venture, which is Art on the Rio. He's been involved with the arts community and promoting both venues, but also promoting artists for quite some time. So seeing this turn into a growing venture is really, really exciting to me. So I'm just really proud and pleased to be able to introduce Carlos here this morning.
Hey, right on. and can I get a thumbs up so long as I don't sound like a robot? Are we good? We're good. Okay. Hey, thank you everybody for having me on your screen this morning as it is. And I couldn't have asked for a better introduction from Eric Whitmore, my good friend there. My name is Carlos Contreras. I am the co-founder of a venture that I've started to refer to as a ghost gallery by the name of Art on the Rio. And so I'll tell you who I am and how I came to this first, and then we'll talk a little bit about Art on the Rio. As Eric mentioned, I've gone through I think a number of iterations just in my professional career. And so throughout that time, though, in the last 20 years working in Albuquerque, I was born and raised here. I'm 37 years old. In the last 20 years of Albuquerque, the constant has been that I've always been a part of Albuquerque's creative economy. So whether it be as a performance poet or a painter or a community organizer, event creator and host, I've always just been sort of in the mix of Albuquerque's creatives. And my most recent stint before I started Art on the Rio was at HomeWise. HomeWise is a local nonprofit development company. And while I was at HomeWise, I was living sort of this dual life that many artists do in Albuquerque, right? You're the artist like 50% or more of the time, because sometimes you're stealing time from work, if you're being honest with yourself, to do that creative venture. And then you have the day job. And I'd done that for so long in Albuquerque at a clip that was successful and was fulfilling that we were just going to continue on. And so just short of 12 calendar months ago, I had agreed with my now fiance that we were going to rent a brick and mortar space at Rio Grande and I-40. And she was going to run her design and marketing firm out of it. And I was going to use it as a doubled space for an art gallery. And the fruition and like the finally my own space to have as an event creator and promoter. I run a business called I'm a Star Productions that just always programmed out of other spaces, primarily breweries, but sometimes coffee shops, sometimes just community spaces. And so this thing had come to life, right? And it had been this idea that we would expand our programming that we were sharing in small businesses and put it in our own small business and began what would be called Art on the Rio. And then COVID hit. And what we saw in the first 9 months of, I guess, 2020, was paying 9 months worth of rent on an empty building because we couldn't figure out exactly what we were going to do or what we were allowed to do. And so in that 9 months, and given the 20 years of organizing in Albuquerque and getting artists paid, quite honestly, a whole lot of anxiety happened because all of a sudden this usefulness and this utility that is my artistic life completely went away. And I was at a loss for how to get it back. And then we pivoted. So I've heard, in the introductions, a number of people mention the idea or the word pivot. We pivoted. My fiance is a marketing and advertising professional with an ability to enlist the work of website developers. And so we thought, in a time of not having physical space to program out of, maybe we don't need it. And we created Art on the Rio. So Art on the Rio is the culmination of 20 years worth of work, because in my 20 years of organizing and event creation, I met handfuls and handfuls of creatives, some of those people being visual artists. And when I thought about what we could do in space, being virtual, my mind went to visual art, because I myself am a painter, have been painting for the last 5 years for sanity, if nothing else. And have teamed up with my 5-year-old, and we paint collaboratively and sell our paintings, right? So this idea of using this, what has become my emotional, mental wellness outlet, to help at least a subset of these artists I had worked with for 20 years, became a realizable thing. The capacity was there, the desire was there, and the network was there. So we stood up Art on the Rio as a ghost gallery, a virtual gallery. And I started to turn to and look at small businesses in Albuquerque in this like to-go moment, you know, the carry-out moment for restaurants and coffee shops, and just about any way you were doing business, you couldn't be inside. And so when you went inside to buy local, because so many of us did, I know I did, is like, I lived off of takeout intentionally for a while, you know, trying to do my part to buy local. And what my visceral experience walking in those spaces was that they were very sad, that they felt very overwhelmed, but they had to be open. And there was just an absence, and that absence wasn't just people, it was spirit and emotion, and some sort of like tangible morale was missing. And Art on the Rio made even more sense then, because I thought if we could bring color and life to the walls of these places, even if it was just while you were standing in line, you had something nice to look at. And this idea that there was this new business and this new partnership in town, that it might make you think differently about your experience, right? In that moment, it might give a little hope to the idea of what was beyond that moment. And it might remind you that people in Albuquerque work together. I think that that's what this pandemic has reminded me most of, and has made me most grateful about my dear city, Albuquerque, is that in Albuquerque, when things get rough, we figure it out. We remain resilient, we survive, and we improvise, we pivot. And so very quickly, we stood up artontherio.com. I got to painting. I got in touch with a couple of very like low-hanging fruit business partners, like the Brew downtown, like 50/50 Coffee House and Pub in Nob Hill, like a new juice shop, Joabos on 4th and Montano, that was just in my neighborhood. And I walked through the door and said, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. This is who I am, and this is what I've done for 20 years. And what we want to do is create an opportunity for those that really kind of need us most right now. Because another thing we recognized and realized amid the pandemic is I was a working artist by choice. I had the ability, and I was blessed enough to have sort of the FTE, right? Like the full-time employment, the day job. So when the pandemic hit, my income sustained itself. I was okay. I've worked with people for the last 20 years that when the pandemic hit, they were not. And they didn't have the tax records or the business license or any of that to then seek relief. And so in the 9 months before Art on the Rio launched, and since it has, we've been intentional about this platform being a particular piece. It certainly doesn't solve the problem, but for whoever wants to join us to seek some relief. Visual artists are selling work through our platform and through our promotion and our efforts, and receiving 80% of what it sells for, and doing nothing but getting us physical art in our hands and then letting us do the rest. And so what Art on the Rio is, because I'm dancing around it and selling it to you as this kind of really kind of amoeba style thing, because it is. Art on the Rio, I say, is a marketplace for artists that curates community around itself. Simultaneously, while we're creating a space for artists to find collectors and vice versa, it's more than that. It's an opportunity to realize a city that loves each other and works together. It's an opportunity to realize that when we talk about our city, we can talk about all the places there are to go and all the things there are to do, because there's something inside of them that's part of ourselves. Just the same, if we're an artist, we can send somebody to a coffee shop now to see our art and then become a regular patron of that coffee shop just the same. So Art on the Rio is a spirit of sorts, and everything I've done in Albuquerque is very much aimed to be that, right? Something bigger than ourselves, and something that gives back to the community. Now, it's created with some intentionality too, because Art on the Rio is here in a moment where, okay, I just told you visual artists had the least amount of relief, or not visual artists, but artists in general, creatives in general. You know, when we operate in normal times, or when we go back to whatever was normal or is normal, and galleries open back up, and this is no slight to any gallery owner out there, but the conventions and traditions and regular operating modes of galleries are to split with artists in a like 50-50 fashion. Sometimes in a 60-40 fashion, sometimes in a 70-30 fashion, and that larger number often going to the gallery. We didn't want to do that. I've worked so long with artists, and I'm an artist myself, that I realized that if we can concentrate on a few things that artists just don't want to do or don't have the capacity to do, program and build the online website, create this content for social media and market online, work on strategic partnerships with businesses in the community. If we can own those pieces, and be okay with taking a smaller percentage for owning those pieces, then the capacity we will grow with the trust and the amount of artists that we'll gain, and the trust and the amount of small businesses we will gain, that percentage we are taking, albeit the 20% of an 80-20 split to our artists, will grow in a way that will eventually sustain and support our business. So it's like a quantity thing, right? We have to create a certain level of sales capacity, and otherwise, if we don't do that, then it just doesn't pay out on our end. And we have to remain committed and believe that we have the staying power to grow that capacity. So, you know, I know these things are supposed to talk about, well, then how can you help? I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. Let's see if I could do that. There we go. Let's see. Yeah. And what you can do to help is you can visit the website, www.artontherio.com. You can follow us on Instagram. That's where you'll see like behind the scenes stuff or daily posts about what you can buy, sales, news, and content. And the first Sunday of every month, you can join us on Facebook, where we go live and we auction off for the better part of 2 hours, anywhere between about a dozen and 2 dozen pieces of artwork. Everything starts at a $40 bid. So things are like super affordable to start. And sometimes they get up there into the realm of like, do I really want to buy this? Do I really want to make this commitment? And yes, you do. And sometimes you just want to tune in to learn about an artist. You want to be part of a community. You want to help build the capacity of an organization, and that's what you can do. If you join the Facebook Live event and simply share it, it would help us immensely. If you follow the Art on the Rio Instagram and share our posts, would help us immensely. If you visit the website and post it to your Facebook page once in a while, it will help grow beyond the mom network, so to speak, as we were introduced with Paul's example, right? Like, you have to have more than one paying customer. I will end with this. You can become a paying customer in some way, shape, or form. And in our first 90 days, we've had at least 100 people do that, because we've sold just over 100 pieces of art. We've partnered and signed, even though we don't have contracts, but we've shook the hands of 30 plus artists. We're at about 32 artists. We've shook the hands of 12 local business owners to be brick and mortar partners. And we've put $30,000 back in the pockets of Southwest artists in 90 days. So we're just asking you to join us in helping do that. However you want to be involved, I think you can. If you know a small business that has some blank wall space or is hanging up like Ross big, large scale Ross art, you know, or Target art, call us and we'll go hang some stuff up. We hang it up for free. We rotate it as it sells, often on a 30 or 60 or 90-day basis, just depending on like where it is and what we're doing with it. You do not have to be a public facing business. If you have clients that come in and you just want something nice for them to look at, we do so much social media marketing that it doesn't matter to us how much foot traffic actually passes our work on a daily basis. And we're aiming to be like multi-pronged, multifaceted, and inclusive. So doesn't matter if you have a kid that paints and you want your kid to be empowered by the idea of selling his or her art. If you consider yourself like a novice painter, but you have the courage and bravery to put your stuff out there on the market, we are a marketplace. I'm not a fine art gallery. We are a contemporary art marketplace that will help put money in the pockets of artists that need it. So I'm going to stop talking. Lisa, I winged it, and I hope I hit all the notes. I kind of did this though, but that's what my life does.
Did a great job, Carlos.
Yeah, that was great. Folks, if you've got a question for Carlos, go ahead and Usually we ask you to put it in chat. You can also raise your hand and we'll kind of get around to you. I think like, what is it? I mean, you know, super briefly, what does it usually look like if somebody puts their stuff in a gallery? Like, I know that there's like a high commission rate and some other stuff like that. Can you like give a little bit of that so that, you know, folks understand how this is different?
Sure. Yeah. And again, I'll start by saying this is no slight to any gallery operation, right? I get that things work in different ways. I've just had different experiences over my time with friends that are fine artists, and people have all different opinions. But typically when you show in a gallery, you're going to partner in a contract fashion. You're going to bring them a decent amount of work, right? Because a lot of gallery spaces have quite a bit of space. And you're going to commit to the idea that they're going to sell this work for you in partnership with you, and that's the way things are going to go. A lot of times artists are like solely represented by said gallery, so they don't have a whole lot of agency outside of those agreements until those agreements expire, and the percentages at which they split can be in a 50-50 range or more to the gallery. In our conversations with artists that have been subject to those traditional conventions and operating modes of operation, we've chosen to just shake hands, just to not even have a physical piece of paper that we have anybody sign. I have insurance on the artwork itself as a business and in the brick and mortar, and then we add the additional insured of the locations it goes into, so it's protected. If it were damaged, lost, or otherwise, we could pay for that artwork. But beyond that, we're just simply asking the artist to give us a small batch of work, like 2 to 5 pieces, to say, hey, as these are hanging and you're promoting them, we will send sales your way. So yes, we do ask like for them not to sell them outside of us. But other than that, when we handle everything else, we'll handle a delivery or a pickup or a shipping situation. We will negotiate the sale, and we'll deliver information about the artist. So our site has a biography of every artist. But you know, if somebody inquires on social media, then we kind of have we kind of curate and manage those relationships, much like a gallery would, much like somebody looking at painting and asking questions in a gallery. We do that in a virtual context and form. I feel like we're filling holes that allow for artists to still be autonomous and have some agency outside of us. So we're just adding to their hustle rather than aiming to be representing artists. And I think that gets a little messy sometimes.
Cool. Thanks. And it looks like we've got some questions coming up in the chat. We'll go with Kenneth and then Sonia and then Alan. So Kenneth first.
Yeah, so I see Kenneth says, I'm looking for an artist. Can you help? Currently at Art on the Rio, we have, I want to say there's like 29 faces on our website at this point. I'm going to add a few over time, right? I'm working with a developer and sometimes that takes time. But yes, I would invite you to go look at those 30 artists and see if there's something you like. Now, here's what's going to come in the days to come. You'll notice that when you look on the website, because we are, just like a gallery is, selling original artwork. We're selling pieces that are one of one, right? So you can't buy the print of something you see on our website. It's the original art. That being said, everything stays on our website. So if somebody sells something, we mark it sold, but we leave it up. And that's intentional, because what we're going to add next to get to answering your question, Kenneth, is the ability to say, hey, I really like this artist and there's this sold piece of art that I like. I want something like that. Can I commission a piece of work? And so at the click of a button, you're going to be able to say, here's the size I'm thinking, here's the kind of color and theme, and it looks like this, or this is what I want. Can I get a quote on a commissioned piece of art from this artist? We'll receive that inquiry, we'll talk with our artist, and we'll get back with you on a timeline and a price you would pay for your desired piece of art and what it takes to purchase that piece of art.
I think what I'm looking for is an ongoing commissioned artist to do some art for a television show that I'm working on.
So like an animator or something like that.
Well, not an animator, but it's really a sketch of that depicts what the next section of the show is going to be about.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we could do that. You know, the thing about it is and we're in this non-contract world that we are living in, and we're aiming to be like forever in. It might be a conversation we just facilitate. You know, we're very aware of the fact that there are going to be instances where people like yourself are interested in sort of a product that we don't sell, but a relationship we can create for an artist that then we can be glad to have created. So yeah, we would be happy to help you.
And I was going to say, it reminds me a lot of when I was in Sacramento, there was a group called the Royal Chicano Air Force. And so go for it. They did quite well. And Jose Montoya and Esteban Villa are well-known Chicano artists throughout the world. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
See, next, and I skipped over Miriam a little bit earlier. Miriam, can you ask your question?
Yeah. Hey, Carlos, how's it going? I really love this idea because I often see things out. I mean, for instance, just your work in general. I've seen it out. I've seen you create at a fair, you know, and then I'm interested and it's like, well, where do I find it? And so I kind of love this idea a lot. I'm also wondering, and you may have answered this and I just missed it in my excitement, but is it possible to, when you see something on the website, to buy it before it goes on auction if you really love it?
Yeah,
Or
totally. So,
it's going to be only in the auction?
no, totally. And great questions. And thank you for asking them, because they allow me to like clarify some things. And I'll say this first, when before Art on the Rio ever existed, I hosted for 10 years a show called I'll Drink to That. Well, just short of 10 years, thanks to COVID-19. Month 95 of 95 months in a row, one Sunday a month, I was getting ready to do March's I'll Drink to That. And then what happened to our world happened. But at the end of that event, at every event, we had live painters paint for 3 hours. And at the end of every event, we would auction the work off. That's where this idea kind of morphed from and grew from, because I knew there was this need, to your point, Miriam, for people to know where to find this stuff, right? Like, and I'll drink to That became an opportunity once a month where people knew they'd have about a dozen choices of artwork from local artists, and they could go have too many beers and then spend too much money. and when that went away, it was like, how do we create that again? You know, and now we're messing with this idea of we can't gather too many people in too many places, or in one place. So we had to put art. Now my opinion is we have to put it everywhere, because now you have to be able to walk in to buy car insurance and there be art on the wall that's locally sourced. You have to, you know, attend a meeting at Global Ties as a nonprofit organization that's a partner of theirs, and in their conference room, art is for sale to you. So we have to up the ante on the opportunities that you're going to run into local art for purchase. So we've done that. Now that's like, there's a dovetail to that. So everything you see hanging in public spaces is on our website. None of that work will ever go up on the auction block, unless we pull it from the website and it goes on the auction block, which we do on a very minor occasion. They're two separate things. The hanging in spaces in town is sort of a slow moving train, because we rotate work all over town. So once it's in our possession, unless artists want it back, it'll move through all of our 12 locations over time, right? So the idea is that it can move from Marble West Side to Marble East Side in the matter of 6 months, and it might sell on the East Side when it didn't sell on the West Side, right? Most artists won't have 6 shows in a year, so it's going to do 6 rotations of things, where that's more opportunity for a visual artist, so long as the work's handled correctly. Now the auctions are my entryway for everybody. For buyers, it's like, oh, cool, it's like I'll drink to that, but I get to do it from my couch, right? Like, here's an auction's back in town. Like, I didn't get to see it painted live, but I know what this is like. Like, enough people, I feel like, particularly in my network, that we can spread it wider, know what that's all about, know what like an auction is. And we figured out some of these virtual things. There's a delay. I figured that out. I still make funny jokes, so we're good there. But we sell stuff, right? But the auction is an introduction to Art on the Rio, so that when you see it around town, you know what it is. Oh, this is that thing. It's connected to those people. You begin to trust it. You know, you can trust either going to the auction, but you can also trust scanning the QR code, buying it on your phone, and taking it home from Marble Brewery. But they're two separate things. It's also a more comfortable place, I feel like, if you don't know me as an artist, to approach me with one piece of art for sale. You can pick a smaller piece, because they all start at $40, of course, but you can say, hey, I don't know what this is. I don't know who this dude is. He thinks he's funny. He looks kind of funny. I don't know if I should trust him, but I'm going to try because I'm an artist and I could use some money. I'm going to give him one piece. And when we sell it for those folks, and sometimes when it sells for more money than they even expected, then they're there with 3 to 5 pieces at my door saying, where can I hang in town? Right. But you have to build trust on both sides. So they're trust building and community engagement building pieces.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I think I'm up next. Eric, you're still muted. Actually, I have a couple things, Carlos. I know one thing is I love it when companies sort of disrupt the norm. And I feel like, well, you and I, right, we're in Creative Startups program, and you were talking about how a gallery owner contacted you because they were nervous about what you're doing. And I was curious if you could share some of that conversation or how that went.
I will share the conversation and not the name, because bless his heart, I think he's doing great things for New Mexico artists just the same. And you know, and like I said, this isn't shaking a fist at galleries. I have no problem with anybody that's helping somebody sell some art. And when you're walking in, galleries make it black and white, right? Like the reality is you don't have to work with them. Once you sign a piece of paper, then you're working with them. So you should know what you're getting into. That being said, yeah, we've gotten a call from Santa Fe. I'll just say that, like, it's from a contemporary art gallery in Santa Fe saying, hey, what is this and how long are you going to be doing this? And I said, this is what it is. This is how long I've been doing this kind of work, and it's going to exist indefinitely, you know. And we had a conversation about, well, you know, do you split 50-50 with your artists? And I said, no, sir, I don't, you know. And I explained sort of our 80-20 split. Now there is one exception to that. There's a 70-30 split in town when work moves to American Home Furniture, because we're partnered with American Home Furniture. We have a large amount of their square footage on their floor at their Manal and Carlisle location. And that's literally just because we're taking up square footage that costs them money, right? Like there's money sitting in a building there, where we're not asking their salespeople to sell our stuff. So we've partnered at a different percentage to make that all make sense. But he asked me some of those questions, and then I respectfully closed that conversation by saying, look, man, I get it. I get your frustration. But all of this stuff was done intentionally, not like as a biting of the thumb at you, but like as being a working artist for, you know, 20 years of my life, and a visual artist who's been selling my own work for the last 5 years. I know some of the trials, tribulations, and the conventions and traditions of a space that I feel very confident in flipping on its head right now. And so that's what I'm going to do. So that's what we've done.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on making people worried. That's beautiful.
I think I've spent my life doing that. It started with my parents, though.
Well,
all right. And well,
you know, compared to like your Ubers or, you know, some of these other organizations, they extract the value, and the value that went to the store no longer exists, but it doesn't go to the driver or the whoever either. So I like the fact that that you're changing kind of the turf. You're making it more accessible and more productive for the artists themselves. We had a question, I think, from Ellen.
Wait, I had one more thing.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, it's okay. But Carlos, I just wanted to mention, so your events that you're creating for, you're doing them under I'm a Star Productions on Facebook, correct? So I highly suggest that you should invite all your friends to every single event you create, because number one, I want to know when they're happening. And number two, that will get a lot more eyes on at least the auction part. And then just maybe message a few people who have a lot of friends and say, hey, can you invite your friends to this? And that will get some momentum going on those auctions as well. Oh, and just FYI, once anyone's invited to an event on Facebook, if you post in the event, they get notifications, whether they've said they're going or not. So that's a good way, you know, once you get a lot of invitations, start posting in the events, and you'll get more eyes and hopefully more people attending your auctions. So that's all I had.
Thank you, my dear. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Carlos.
Now to, and sorry about that.
That's all right. Carlos, I really like what you're doing, but I have a very deep concern. you talked about the fact that you don't have contracts, and you talked about that as a positive. As a retired attorney and mediator, I see that as essentially planting landmines in your future. Yes, verbal contracts are enforceable, but I guarantee you that if you have a dispute, no one remembers the details the same way. And the other, I can, and just listening to you talk about your business, I can think of at least 10 areas of liability that are not going to be covered by your insurance because you don't have contracts. And you know, in the attorney business, the kind of the low profit work is in drafting contracts. The high profit work is in litigation. And when someone doesn't have a contract, that's extremely profitable. And so I just want you to think about something. While you have kind of a low profile, fairly new business, and it sounds like you're enjoying some modest success, this may not become an issue. But what if you're wildly successful? I think the probability of some problem becoming a threat to your business becomes much higher. And a lot of times what I've found over the years is that people they hope to succeed, but they don't plan to succeed. And what I mean by planning to succeed is playing that chess match out and seeing, if I become very successful, what are the issues that I'm going to have to deal with? And I would really strongly urge you to find an attorney and have that attorney, at the very least, go over with you the points of liability that you're exposed to right now, and then hopefully draft some basic contracts so that everybody knows what they signed on for, and a year from now they don't have to remember what they signed on for, because they'll have a piece of paper that tells them what they signed on for. Because I'd really like to see you succeed, and I'd like to see you find wild success. And so anyway, for what it's worth, best of luck and best wishes, but please see an attorney.
Yeah, your suggestion and your recommendations don't go unheard and don't fall upon deaf ears. I appreciate that, and I completely hear you. We're navigating this sort of, we're walking a fine line, right? And we're kind of standing on the top of the fence and figuring out when we need to end up on one side or the other. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. One last thing. One advice I gave a client was, sometimes saving money is the most expensive thing you can do.
No, I hear that.
Let's see, I think we had a question. There'll be a last question from the floor, at least for this section. And again, Carlos will be joining us for the breakout rooms. We had a question from Michael, and then I'll take it back for our final standard questions.
Hey, Carlos. I was looking at your website as you're talking and kind of looking through the pictures and stuff. And one of the things that I was thinking was, well, it'd be interesting to go to one of these places that he's got the art hanging on the wall. And I'm like, where are those places? And then I was thinking, it'd be cool if I was like sitting in one of those places that had art on the wall, and I just saw it and I just remembered, okay, just go to the website and I can look it up. And I was like, but if I was at this place, how would I find that piece of art and get it listed? And so I was thinking, if you were to kind of make that circular engagement, maybe that'd make a better pitch for the businesses, because like see this art, if I clicked on an image of a piece of art and it said, see it at Java Joe's, I might go down and have a cup of coffee at Java Joe's and look at the art and see what I thought.
Yeah, thank you for that, Michael. Some of that is done in like a content creation in organic fashion right now, simply because we're so small and bootstrapping a bit of it together. But you're exactly right. So like in space, when you see pieces hanging, they have the name of the piece, the name of the artist, and the price. And then below them, they have a card that has a QR code on it. And so if you scan that QR code, it shoots you directly to the website. So then you can find the artist, you can find the piece, and then you can literally purchase it on your phone. All of our locations are then instructed with the like confirmation screens they'll see come through on a purchase, so that person can literally buy it on their phone, walk up to the barista at Java Joe's and say, hey, look, I just bought this. I'm going to take it home now and take that piece off the wall.
That's cool.
We've had that work. Like we've had it work, and we've had like the fail safe of it being like, well, what happens when someone tries to steal something, or like, or represent like they bought it, but they didn't. And we've had those instances happen already, and happen successfully in both keeping art that wasn't purchased inside the facility, and or letting art that was purchased right there and then they're on their phone walk out the door. But yes, the strategic growth model of the brick and mortar partnership program to me is to allow this to happen for a year for free for businesses, and then to turn around to those businesses and say, look, sliding scale here, because I'm not going to hit you with you need to pay me. I'm going to hit you with, if you pay me X, I'm going to put X percentage of that amount you pay me into social media marketing directed in like a partnered fashion. So Java Joe's, if you give me $50 a month, $40 of that every month is going to go towards an ad that is specifically targeted with the art, like you're saying, come drink a cup of coffee and buy this painting. $40 of that is going on our social media and going to pump your business. We're going to keep $10 and keep moving, right? So that they see a direct and immediate impact. I think like so much of this like business to business stuff and buy local stuff, supported by a network of local influencers, does a whole lot more in an advertising and marketing lane to me than like a billboard or a commercial at like 3 a.m. you know, so that's, yes. So thank you. I think some of it's working, but it's not like quite fine tuned as it needs to be yet.
Cool.
Unmute myself here, and we've got some standard final questions. So first of all, thanks again. Big thanks to Carlos. Actually, if we can get a little hands up, round of applause, throw your reactions in there. We got two things that we always ask. One is the traditional red or green state question. I'm really curious. I don't know where you're at on that.
Oh man, if I have to do them like if I have to just choose one, it's red. But I usually just do them both. You know, it's usually Christmas.
All right, cool deal. And the last thing is some version of this. What's the thing that we can do today or coming up the first weekend of May to help support your business?
You know, I think honestly, it's less about the event engagement, because I think like that'll come over time. I think you should follow us on Instagram today, like just to, because so much of what I've created in a business and aim to create always is like, I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to show you why something is worth your time, your attention, and your desire to like then be involved, you know, and then maybe purchase something. So if you join the Instagram, you'll just get a glimpse at like the diversity, the richness, and the value of Albuquerque's creative economy. So
awesome. Thank you so much. And again, Carlos will be joining us for the breakout rooms. We've got a few different breakout rooms. Oh, thank you. I was so glad. I was going to ask somebody to put it in the chat, and Sonia has already made it happen. And that's, yeah, we can activate this whole thing. So let's see, if you are on our app, the 1 Million Cups platform, that we typically go through, that's also at 1MCABQ.com, or if you're joining us through Meetup, you already got kind of a long list of events and activities that are taking place for the next week or two. I'm going to highlight a couple, but before I do that, or as part of doing that, I wanted to invite some of our co-hosts, co-organizers to share something about the events. First, we got an event today from Tech Council in Ambayo. Lisa, can you share a little bit about that?
I sure can, Eric. So for those of you who don't know, the New Mexico Tech Council is a member-driven association of businesses, organizations, and tech professionals working together to promote the growth and success of NM's technology business sectors. They have a lot of great workshops and peer groups. And then NM Bio is New Mexico's statewide trade association for biotech, biomedicine, and related industries. And they've joined forces today to bring a workshop called Launching a WeFunder Campaign. So WeFunder is the nation's leading crowdfunding firm. So they're going to bring you up to date on the recent initiatives and some local startups that have gone under, including the AWF, under their platform and raised money. So I actually have 3 free tickets, and if you would like, it's only $10. It's a virtual workshop. It is today. Starts in just a little bit. So if you would like to attend and get a free code, chat me up, and I'll send you the code for registration.
Awesome. Let's see, that's fantastic. And let's see, we got another event in our neighborhood. Well, typically it would be in our neighborhood if we were sitting all at Fat Pipe, where we hope to be sometime again soon. Paul, I'm not sure if you're involved or just the supportive event that's coming up tomorrow.
I'm a big fan. So the event is the Comcast pitch competition. And I know, like, if you've been around town for a while in the entrepreneurial scene, you've seen a lot of pitch competitions. The thing that makes this one different is the prizes. Top prize is $10,000. Second prize is $5,000. Third prize is $2,500. Fourth and fifth prize are $1,000. And there's only 5 competitors because they've been pre-screened. And the reason that I'm excited about this is one of the competitors is Alex Hafez, the Equiseek CEO, who has just started a new company based on his thesis work. And he's pitching a very exciting opportunity. I'm going to put the link to registration in the chat. It's tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. It's free to go. And the format is 10 minutes of presentation, 5 minutes of Q&A for each of 5 companies. It's definitely going to be worth your time because if everybody else is the same quality as Alex's pitch, I think you're going to see some pretty exciting opportunities. So I hope I'll see you there tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Paul. I threw a couple other things in the chat here. Let's see. Folks aren't always aware that AED does a lot of different things. Albuquerque Economic Development, the slightly more private version of economic development here in the Albuquerque area, they do a lot of services to retain and help grow companies. And one of the programs they've been sharing with businesses is this Size Up training program. So the next session of that is happening this Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. And basically it's a tool that tells you how your business compares with similar businesses, both in our market and in other markets. I'm planning to go just to learn a little bit more about this, but I think it's a good way to get more aware of some of the resources we have available just in our own backyard. Another thing that's coming up is it's now monthly, but it's the startup office hours from Activate NM. That's taking place on Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. And let's see, yeah, that's also in the chat. And the last thing that I'll put in the chat is text for a big national event that's taking place this year. It's taking place not this weekend, but next weekend. If you are somewhat familiar with startup weekends, this is a great way to get involved with other people who care about sustainability, who are working on those kinds of issues around the country. So I'm excited to be part of that. Sort of speaking of Techstars and Startup Weekend, we've got a great couple of companies that are coming up in the near term. We've got TechDin taking place next week. Teen Years is joining us for an update the week after that. And we've also got the return of Ciarza Social Digital, which is coming up in May. So we hope you join us for more 1 Million Cups events. And that's all from me.
Thanks, Eric. So great session today. We thank everybody for coming. Let's wave